Hi everyone, my name is Nigel Pamplin. I'm the Zico photographer, and my story is this. I live in Plumstead, Cape Town. I found out about my COVID status on the 5th of December. I got my test results. The reason I went for my test obviously was because I was exhibiting flu-like symptoms, and obviously like everyone else, I just assumed that it was the general flu because it was that time of the year, change of season, etc. And obviously it wasn't, so that was quite scary. Also there was a build up to it. I know exactly where, I think I know exactly where I caught it. I was at a friend's house and we had family members present, and I was maskless, and I take full responsibility for that because I thought that I was with close family and friends, everyone was strict and everyone was adhering to all the protocols. I thought that I was in a safe environment and I was negligent. So I paid the price for that. I caught COVID, and that was life-changing obviously. Firstly, it was terrifying because you are faced with your own mortality, and that is scary. I have a family too, so the thoughts of my daughter growing up without me there to protect her and to advise her on life was very scary. She's 1 year old, and I have a wife as well, which obviously I don't want anything bad happening to my family like everyone else. So the build up to the day that I caught COVID, I was fluish. I first actually had sinus, which I'm prone to, so I was sneezing a lot and a very runny nose, and I visited family and friends that whilst being under those circumstances, but again I thought it was just sinus and I didn't think that it was anything serious. I visited friends and family, my sister and my mom's house, and that was hectic for me because afterwards, when I found out that actually it evolved from just sinus to actually sore throat and coughing, I went to a GP told me to go for a test, got my results. I obviously had to notify my family because I had just visited them beforehand and they all were at risk, so they all had to go get tested. And thank God all my family was negative at that point. My mom, my dad, obviously all retired already. They were fine, and my sister, her 2 sons and her husband were fine as well. But another people that I was in contact with, they had also contracted COVID. We were all in the same place at the same time. They caught COVID, my sister then didn't. They were also exposed, and it was a bit of a he said, she said situation. Everyone was trying to assign blame. Naturally, people want to blame someone, and I took the blame there. I didn't want to fight it because I had COVID, but it could have easily been the other people that infected me as well, but I took it as it was. And that was a lot of pressure on me because emotionally that was draining, because I wasn't sure if I caused it, if I made them sick, what happens if they died. Luckily they didn't, thank God. It could have been serious, but they went through it, they saw it through, and they are on the other side now. They're on the mend. That was 3 months ago, and they are fine now, thankfully. A month ago, however, my mom and my dad both contracted COVID. So they were at home. They contracted COVID. Must have been from my dad because he was still working at the time. He's since retired. And that was stressful because they were both obviously like retirement age, and they both had it bad. My dad especially had it really bad. We had to call an ambulance one night for him because his breathing was so bad. They had the little oxygen meter that you put on your finger, blood pressure, oxygen levels, oximeter I think it's called, and it was reading very low. So we knew that he was struggling to breathe, he was gasping for air. Called an ambulance. The ambulance came, they inspected him, they checked him out, and they said actually he is at the threshold where they could send him, but they could also let him stay at home, and he decided to just rather stay and see it through, because going to a hospital during COVID is on another level of insanity. If obviously try and avoid it at every cost, but if need be, you need to go. So he decided to stay at home, And thank God he's on the mend now. He's doing well. He's breathing perfectly. His levels have improved. My mom's doing well. So for now, as it is, my personal family is doing really well with regards to the COVID, and I thank God for that. When I found out, the first thing I did was when I found out about my status on the 5th of December, the first thing I did was I called obviously my family members to notify them, to advise them to go get tested, even if they're not showing symptoms. And also I phoned my daughter's pediatrician and I asked him, what does this mean for her? And he said, luckily, there is global findings that the kids are not affected for some or whatever reason. They are not as badly affected by COVID as adults are. And I was very thankful about that. I was just monitoring her, checking her temperature, making sure she doesn't have a fever or any other symptoms, and thank God she didn't exhibit any. My wife also went for a test before me, because she was also fluish. So we thought, look, she's going to go for a test first. She went, her results were negative. And then I was like, should I actually even go? Because we're in the same house, we're not wearing masks in the house, should we go? And it's just something in me just said, just go, just to have that peace of mind, go for the test. And I went about 3-4 days after she got her results. I went for my test, and obviously it was positive, so it was hectic. Quarantining in our house is problematic. Obviously, we don't have a huge house. I kept to one room, and luckily there was an ensuite in that room, so I would just use that bathroom and only come out to get food and basically go back to the room and eat. And obviously when I went out, gloves on, mask up, a clean fresh mask every day, and minimal interaction with my daughter and my wife. It was challenging obviously, but we got through that and we are stronger because of it, I think. And yeah, how I feel about COVID, I think I'm angry obviously at China for not closing their borders when they knew they had a potentially dire virus within their borders. They had the information, they knew about it, they didn't act for whatever reason, if it was money or whatever the reason was. They didn't close their borders, and what currently is a global pandemic could have been reduced to, remember, millions of people have died, millions of people have been affected by this worldwide, and it could have been way reduced if they had just acted and taken responsibility. So I'm angry at them, and I'm angry at people that are still walking around maskless, are still just thinking that it's a hoax or it's not as serious as it is. But people are dying. We've had family members die. We've had close friends die. It's a real, and it's killing people. And people are still just very nonchalant about it. And that is actually very infuriating. I mean, like, a lot of people talk bad about our company. Everyone, employees are disgruntled everywhere. That's just a fact of life. Everyone hates their bosses. Everyone hates going to work. But I think that Ezekiel has actually done well under the circumstances, because we haven't had salary cuts, we haven't had retrenchments. They've implemented a work from home policy. I think for the rest of it, they've done really well. And I think we should take our hats off to them, because, as I said, a lot of people have had pay cuts, a lot of people have had retrenchments, and we haven't been faced with that yet. So for that, I thank Ezekiel. And moving forward, it's difficult, like interacting with people. My daughter just had her first birthday. We couldn't have a big party for her. We couldn't invite any of her friends. It was strictly just parents and siblings attending, just to say a little celebration and just to say a little thank you for the year. Even though it was a tough one, being new parents in the midst of a global pandemic, that was tough, because we couldn't call anyone for help. There was no taking her to the Grand for a day. It was in hard lockdown when this happened. We couldn't have people come over to take her for a while. We couldn't take her anywhere besides just to the doctor. When we took her to the doctor, it was only one parent allowed at a time, one parent allowed to drive her to and from different places. So we couldn't take her to the beach, we couldn't take her to the park, she was stuck indoors. She had no interaction with any other babies or any other family members, and it was really tough. And even now, like, she's still kind of facing the repercussions of that. She's not really socialized properly. You know, she has a hard time interacting with other kids. And when other people come in that she doesn't know, she will often cry. And so there's like a lot of side effects that she's still dealing with because of COVID. But we're trying to remedy that as much as possible as her parents. But it is tough. So we're doing our best. We were dealt a bit of a hard hand there with the being parents within a pandemic, first timers and such. But I think we cleared that hurdle fairly nicely. And with friends, it's the same thing now. We don't meet at each other's homes anymore. We'll go out, meet at a park, open air kind of situations, mask up, sanitize. We can't pick up each other's kids and play with them as much as we'd like to. A lot of our friends have had babies now, same age as Harper. We've only like seen them like twice and they're like a year old, and that really sucks. But you know, that's the way of the world right now, so we need to adhere to that until the vaccine takes off and we get that herd situation going. You know, so let's take it as it comes.